These are 20 WWE wrestlers who nearly died, starting with Seth Rollins, who damn near got killed by a steel cage. Whoever thought mounting spikes to the bottom of a steel cage that descends from the ceiling was a good idea must have previously been a head engineer at Guantanamo Bay, because ain't no way. If Seth freaking Rollins had been murked in 2014 by a pre-Solo Sikoa spike, we would have never seen him come out in those Astro Boy boots. And speaking of getting murked, at the peak of the Attitude Era, they damn near killed a vampire on live TV. The late 90s and early 2000s were a wild time, with plenty of dodgy spots. Chief among them was The Undertaker's Ministry of Darkness, initiating the Brood into their cult by hanging his leader from the top rope with a noose.
The acolytes with a bull rope around Gangrel. It's a noose!
The spot was planned and all parties knew what they signed up for, but what wasn't planned was Gangrel nearly passing out during the noosing.
When I went down, that rope cinched. And I was lean then, I was 220, then my belly was sticking out, you'll see boogers coming out of my nose. The lights were fading. I remember everything spiraling away, and it was going away, and then I remember, I don't know, I guess Midian, Dennis Knight, looked at me and realized, crap, there's something wrong, right? So he lifted me kind of up on the thing, and then I know he pulled at this or something, but it loosened up, and I remember everything coming back and I'm back.
Damn, if it wasn't for Midian, they might have arrested Vince McMahon for lynching. But Vince would get his though, thanks to the trusty bottom rope. In a Rumble before the Royal Rumble in 1999 for the number 30 spot, maybe they should bring this back. A looped up Mr. McMahon competed and thought he won. That is until Stone Cold showed up, and the bottom rope nearly decapitated Vince. But Vince ain't the only one to get victimized by the ropes. Darby Allin's ability to take a bump is legendary. Word is bro was the crash test dummy in all the car commercials, but the human body still has its limits. But getting hurled through the air like a piece of luggage at Southwest Airlines? Goddamn. I mean, look at that whiplash in slow motion. The bottom rope nearly claimed another life. But it was only a matter of time until ECW popped up like a powerbomb on the back of your neck. The old ECW arena wasn't your typical setup. It was a converted warehouse / bingo hall, which allowed for some, let's just say, unique spots.
Is he gonna make New Jack's that crazy? Oh my God!
Note that New Jack was in most of these clips. If you know, you know. But another ECW OG actually had his near-death moment in the WWE. When Spike Dudley went up against La Resistance, they powerbombed him out of the ring through a table. The problem is, they botched it, and he missed the table, and Spike hit his head on the ground with the nastiest sound you ever hear. Seeing this live, everyone thought that bro died. But according to the man himself, it was just another day at the office.
And whatever, they got caught in the moment, and they didn't lift me high enough, and my legs caught the top rope, so it whipped me down. And I'll be honest, I didn't feel it. That was nothing.
Man, Spike's the smallest T1000 ever. Bro just didn't care. But someone else who didn't give a crap about his own life was Shane O'Mac. Now the boy wonder may have come of age, but his crazy gene didn't go anywhere. Shane may have strolled into the ring with his kids, hoping to put on a show for them, and he did, but not exactly in the way he thought. Like going through a table from atop of hell in a cell.
No! Oh my God! No!
Bro thought he was Mick Foley with a trust fund, but more Mick a little later. But up next, Kevin Nash took the name Giant Killer literally. It's 1998, and the NWO is wrecking mayhem, treating Rey Mysterio like a human dart and vandalizing everyone's backside. The only thing standing in their way was Lex Luger, Sting, and a 500-pound giant, which, for reference, is half the weight of a North American black bear. Nash and the heavyset Giant faced off at Sold Out 1998, and according to Nash, Giant insisted on taking the powerbomb. Kev, like any rational human being, said, "I ain't trying to powerbomb half a black bear," but Giant was adamant, and well.
Is he gonna try to jackknife him? Oh! Jackknife powerbomb. Oh!
Damn, trainers were legit checking on bro and everything.
This is pretty serious. Are you having trouble breathing? I don't know. It's a scary moment.
However, at number 12, The Undertaker damn near unalived himself before even stepping into the ring. Now apparently, the Power Guy's parents never told him not to play with fire, cause bro was extra aggressive with those flames.
Yeah, that was pretty hairy. A lot of things happened just by chance that night. I doused myself with water so that my hair stays wet. So when my music hit, I'm drenched in water. I mean, it's just pouring off of me. That was crucial. I come out, I make my entrance, I stop my normal spot. The pyro ball on the left comes up and it comes right up my left side. I mean, it's like he moved it in, and it's so hot. And I will no-sell something as long as I possibly can, but I can't take it. So I turn to my right to get out of the fireball, and then this one goes off. Now I'm right in it. So I'm totally engulfed. I'll be on fire and take a huge fall. So, I run out of the fireball, and, they're obviously, everyone's freaking out, like, well, and they're trying to cover for me. And when I came out, it was all over with, man. I blew through Gorilla. Backstage looked like a ghost town. There was nobody anywhere. And, everybody's kind of behind me, chasing me because they want to take care of my wounds and everything. But I was like, man, if there's any chance this dude's here, he's dead. Because I was pissed.
Yeah, and I bet the Pyro Guy had it worse after Taker saw him. But what's crazier than all of that is almost losing your life in a pillow fight. That's what happened to Terry Runnels due to a combination of syrup, feathers, and pillows. See, it wasn't so much the pillow chair shots that did it, but the syrup and the feather that got in Terry's nose and mouth, almost completely blocking her windpipes, causing her to nearly suffocate. But one thing that is never deadly is you hitting on that like button, because now that we're in the top 10, we're coming closer to the Grim Reaper than a Final Destination movie, cause Stone Cold said so. And speaking of Stone Cold, there was a time where he could have died or even been paralyzed.
I spun on around and he landed on his feet. Then he picked me up, upside down, and wham! I got spiked head first into the mat hard as hell. That's one of the things that's going to turn you into a quadriplegic quicker than anything. A minute or a minute and a half went by, and I finally started getting a little bit of feeling back in my limbs. I did the worst looking roll-up in wrestling history because I couldn't use my limbs. Somehow I managed to hold Owen on his back and get a 3 count out of it. They took me to the hospital for x-rays, and I was released. I bought myself a 12-pack of beer, laid in bed at the hotel, and finally went to sleep.
And Stone Cold still wanted to get drunk after all of that. Crazy. But not as crazy as a concerto on top of a ladder that could have really gone wrong. When Edge and Christian faced off against each other for the IC strap in a ladder match, Edge did his kayfabe bro dirty. Christian was legit knocked the F out, and his body was more limp than a dude taking a cold shower. Now this wasn't WWE, that was legit attempted murder. I mean, it was so disturbing to watch, the WWE even edited out their website and their YouTube. But what happens when a badass wrestles a UFC fighter in Japan? Near death. Back in 1997, the WWE had a little known partnership with a small Japanese wrestling promotion, and recent signing and UFC legend Ken Shamrock was sent to the land of the rising sun to wrestle the man they call Vader in an Ultimate Rules steel cage match. The match lived up to the name, with Vader winning by TKO. Didn't even know you could do that in a wrestling match, but okay. And the match had to be stopped due to Ken bleeding internally while in a pair of stiff power bombs. The move is an absolute menace. Still, it's got nothing on an exploding barbed wire death match.
I was now set to face the Funker in a no-rope barbed wire match that had the addition of C4 explosives rigged onto barbed wire boards inside the ring.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Oh yeah, and at the 10-minute mark, the ring was going to blow up.
Oh my god. Yeah, so there are so many ways this match could have gone completely wrong. Mick Foley knocked down Terry Funk into an exploding barbed wire. And this happened multiple times to both guys. Like, who booked this? How Mick Foley is still walking around today is a Sherlock Holmes mystery, and so is how one barricade didn't die after a wrestler dove right into it. I don't know who to be more concerned about, Tony Mamaluke or the barricade who took that unprovoked attack like a champ. But at number 5, a legendary WWE commentator almost died on live TV. During a live Monday Night Raw on September 10th, 2012, after beating CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler in a tag team match with Randy Orton, Jerry Lawler returned to the announcer's table when suddenly something unexpected would happen.
Jerry, talk to me, buddy. Jerry, talk to me.
The WWE quickly realized that Jerry Lawler was having a heart attack, so EMTs jumped in and sent him straight to the local hospital for treatment. Michael Cole, who was visibly shaken up, then informed fans at home that this wasn't part of the show, and then out of respect for Jerry, there will be no more commentary for the remainder of the night. But thankfully, Jerry made a full recovery and returned to the WWE just a couple months later. But the King isn't the only one who nearly died doing what he loves. When actor turned wrestler David Arquette went up against Nick Gage in a death match, people were shocked that bro even agreed to this. But in the match, after getting bashed in the head with a life tube by Nick Gage, Gage then proceeded to stab the end of the broken tube into David's head. But when David tried to counter out, Gage accidentally stabbed into David's neck with the sharp broken tube.
Stabbed him in his neck. I was like, oh, did I just kill David Arquette?
The crowd was suddenly silent, thinking they were going to watch bro bleed to death. So David was panicking, checking if he was really bleeding out.
You finished the match.
Well, that's because Luke told me it was a bumping.
Yeah, but he's not a doctor.
I know, but I knew at least I wasn't gonna bleed out.
Now this proves you're always just one move away from the emergency room, which is the perfect segue to one of the most infamous incidents in wrestling history. Now, to make a long story short, a chubby kid from Boston, going by the gimmick Mass Transit, just wanted to wrestle. But the problem was, dude had zero wrestling training and was only 17. But Big Boy was a straight hustler and bluffed his way into an ECW house show. Unfortunately for him, this meant going up against the Gangstas, which include New Jack. Yup, that New Jack. Mass Transit's career left the station and returned all on the same night, but the biggest mistake was asking Jack to blade him since he had never done it himself. Always a menace, Jack cut him so deep that he severed 2 arteries in his forehead, nearly killing Transit. New Jack even grabbed the mic after and said, like, oh my god, man. But this 80s wrestler had it all, but that's when things took a devastating turn. The dude had the look, build, and ability. But Magnum TA, not to be confused with the TV show Magnum PI, could have been Cody Rhodes of his era. Bro had it all. He was so on top of the world that he bought a $53,000 Porsche 911 Turbo. Just as Magnum was being prepped to hold the world title, his life changed forever. He wrapped his Porsche around a telephone pole, which shattered his vertebrae on impact. It came to a point where his wife thought the worst.
It looked like he probably was dead.
But after a massive surgery, Magnum would walk again, but he received devastating news.
My brother came in, he just said he'll never, ever get in the ring again,
leaving fans to wonder what could have been. Still, he made out a lot better than this other wrestler, where one house show changed his whole life. A former football player turned wrestler who could puke on demand, how could you not see the potential? The WWE did, and Droz was moving up the card when a match with D'Lo Brown ended it all. But it wasn't a regular powerbomb that nearly killed Droz, it was D'Lo's running powerbomb, a move requiring such precision and timing to give both the giver and the receiver to pull off. Unfortunately, this one had neither, and Droz paid the price by landing right on his neck, fracturing 2 vertebrae.
I knew I was screwed. I knew I was paralyzed. I knew it was. When I heard crack, and I knew right there. That's when I said that. And I knew that I was paralyzed, and I couldn't move anything. My head was to the side.
For the longest time, this left Droz paralyzed from the neck down, before he eventually regained some movement in his arms. But this freak accident disturbed D'Lo so much, he damn near quit wrestling after what he did to Droz.
I remember going home and telling JR, I'm retiring, I'm done, I can't do this anymore. I can't even, it's not something you plan on or even envision, but it's something you hold someone else's world in your hands every time you do something.
But even after this devastating injury, Droz never hated D'Lo for his near-death injury. As he admitted, it was a freak accident and was just the nature of the beast.
I mean, anything's dangerous. I look at it this way. I could have, tripped on a curb. There was a person when I was in McGee who had tripped on a curb and fell and broke their neck and they're paralyzed, or fall off a little footstool or something like that. I mean, it could happen anyway. I mean, yeah, probably a lot easier to happen in a wrestling ring, but it happens. Things happen all the time, and you make the best of them and you deal with it.